If y'all could see the piles of books around me right now. What's up, y'all? Welcome to Shawtyreads. I am your host, Sydney, Sydney, Sid, Nene, whatever floats your boat. In today's video, I'm going to be taking you through the last row of my bookshelf and then through this little bookshelf right here next to me, because this is the third and final video in my bookshelf tour series. So if you are not subscribed, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future literary content, and we are just going to get straight into the video now. All right, so I have a stack of books next to me that would normally be on the last row, but just for easy grab and go, I have them here. But the last row of my bookshelf is for the white colored books. I've been purchasing so many books though, I'm definitely gonna need another bookshelf, and keeping it color coordinated, honestly, y'all, it's cute, but you know, it gets a bit tedious at times. So, first book is Freshwater by Akwake Emezi. I really hope I'm saying their name correctly. They also wrote The Death of Vivek Oji, which I absolutely love. I haven't gotten into this book yet, but I'm sure it's fantastic. Next, I have Whatever Happened to Interracial Love, Stories by Kathleen Collins. I'm normally not one for stories, but this book is beautiful. She's writing about love, artists, intellectuals, Black love, interracial love, so many different things. It's very raw, powerful, intimate. It's really an emotional ride, I would say. It's like reading poetry. Love this book. The next book I have is Don't Call Us Dead by Dana Smith. I never know if I'm saying his name right, y'all. I'm trying my best, okay? This book of poetry is by far one of my favorite books of poetry ever. All I'm gonna say is, if you haven't read it, read it. You will not be disappointed. Next up is The Soul of Money, Transforming Your Relationship with Money and Life by Lynn Twist. I haven't read this book yet, but I was reading Daring Greatly by Brene Brown on Shawty Speaks on IG Live. Again, follow me on Shawtyreads if you do not. And she pulled a quote from this book, and the main premise was, when we wake up, we say, damn, I didn't get enough sleep, or I didn't get this done. And then we go to sleep, same thing. I didn't get this done. I didn't take the dishes out of the dishwasher, da-da-da-da. So basically, we're always coming from a place of lack, and then that transfers over into the way that we think about money. So we're always thinking about how we don't have enough. And guess what? If you're always thinking about how you don't have enough, you're never gonna have enough. Next, I have Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. This is a classic. If you haven't read Janie's story, you need to read Janie's story. It's beautifully written. It's a love story. It's a coming of age. It's a story of independence. I could go on and on. Read Their Eyes Were Watching God, y'all, okay? Next, I have God, Dr. Buzzard, and the Bolito Man by Cornelia Walker Bailey with Christina Bledsoe. I bought this book from SO1. It was on sale for $6.99. This is a story about a woman's life, I believe. Yes. On Sapelo Island. You know those islands off Georgia? I really don't know much about them, which is why I bought this book, but I haven't read it yet. And it says, so I try to be as much as I can like an African griot, which is a storyteller, oral history of the tribe. That's what they kept. Anyway, it's a memoir, African-American studies. I like books like this. They're educational. Now that I picked it up, I honestly forgot that I had it, and I'm definitely going to have to put this on my TBR list that I never follow or even pay attention to. Next, I have Dracula by Bram Stoker. I bought this because I was going through a phase. I was watching Lovecraft Country. Is that what Lovecraft County Country? And they were talking about horror a lot, and I was like, I'm gonna read Dracula. I'm gonna read the classics. I don't know if Dracula is gonna get read anytime soon, but the thought was cute. Next, I have Sabrina and Karina Stories by Kali Fajardo Anstein. Says Fierce and Essential. from New York Times. Honestly, I bought the book because it's beautiful. And Sandra Cisneros, author of The House on Mango Street, exceptional book, wrote these stories blaze like wildfire. So if Sandra's saying it, I'm reading it. Next, I have Proven Principles for Greater Wealth, Health, and Happiness, Success Habits by Napoleon Hill. I read Think and Grow Rich, so I purchased this thinking that I would read it right after, and I didn't. But I've been looking for like a business book to read, and this is already on my shelf. So if anything, these videos are a great reminder of the books that I already own. Not that that's going to stop me from going to the bookstore and spending too much money, but nice reminder. Next, I have The Last of the Really Great Wang Doodles by Julie Andrews Edwards. I didn't know that it was Julie Andrews Edwards. So yeah, Julie Andrews, Princess Diaries, narrator of Bridgerton. She wrote a children's book, and I still have this because it was my favorite book ever of all time. It was just full of adventure and imaginary worlds, and I still go there sometimes. Next, I have The Thing Around Your Neck by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I think these are stories. In these 12 dazzling stories, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, acclaimed author of Half of a Yellow Sun, explores the ties that bind men and women, parents and children, Africa and the United States. She never fails to just honestly slap you in the face with the beauty of her writing. So I know these will be good. I just haven't read it yet. I buy all these short story books, and then I'm like, I'm not one for short stories. So I have all these books. I will get to them. I will get to these short stories. I think I just have this personality where I don't want things to end. I get attached, and then the short story's over, and then I have to do it all over again with like a new group of people. Like, you're asking for a lot. Next, I have 3 books in one. I have Things Fall Apart, Arrow of God, No Longer at Ease by Chinua Achebe. This is the African trilogy. So I bought this because I read Things Fall Apart in college and I absolutely loved it. I didn't know that there was a trilogy. So one day when I really feel like getting into it with a long book, I'll sit down and I'll read this trilogy. And I like how it's all one book. I don't think I've purchased a trilogy like this before. I usually just buy the individual books, but this is a little vibe. Next, I have Outliers, The Story of Success by Malcolm Gladwell. I really need to read this book because I haven't read anything by Malcolm Gladwell, and I always see his books at the bookstore, but I'm like, I have to read Outliers first because I already own it. So it's just in my head. I'm like, I have to read this book. So I want to read 50 books by the end of the year. I've read 44. Hopefully this makes it into the 50. We'll see, because I've owned this book for like a year and a half now. Next, I have Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. Y'all know I love Brene. If you don't, what you doing? Kidding, not really. Brene Brown is amazing. I'm actually not done with the book yet. Almost there. This is where I'm at. It's great. Her books are about leadership and like how to parent and stuff, but honestly, her books are about how to live life through all the BS that it throws your way. Next, I have 1984 by George Orwell. This is actually my high school copy. I have like all my annotations in here. So that's why it's on my bookshelf. Read the book in high school. It's a really good book. If you're into dystopian stuff, you'll like 1984. He started it all, you guys. Next, I have The Husband's Secret by Leanne Moriarty. If y'all think you don't know who she is, you do, because she wrote Big Little Lies, which was huge on what? It says, HBO limited series. I read Big Little Lies. I enjoyed it, but honestly, The Husband's Secret is so good to me. I recommend it to everyone. I don't know if they love it as much as I do, but this book is juicy. Y'all, when you find out The Husband's Secret, there's no going back. Next, I have The Color Purple by Alice Walker. This is a love story between two sisters, between all the women in the novel. It's amazing, and if you haven't read it, stop the video now, buy it and read it. Next, I have So Much Things to Say, The Oral History of Bob Marley. got this at SO1. SO1 just has the best books. If you haven't, like, whenever I say I got this at SO1, I feel like it's something that I have not seen in your local Barnes & Noble or what have you. But this is my boyfriend's book. I like Bob Marley, but, you know, do I like him enough to read a book about him? Maybe. I just like to read, so I may read this book one day. Next, I have 100 Amazing Facts About the Negro with Complete Proof by J.A. Rogers. We don't see things like this enough. We know what history we're taught in school, so do your duty, learn some history, some decolonized history. Next, I have The Unapologetic Guide to Black Mental Health by Rita Walker. Navigate an unequal system, learn tools for emotional wellness, and get the help you deserve. Because Black people go through things that non-Black people do not. Social pressures, code switching, assimilating, okay? She dives into all of that in this book. Next, I have Conversations with God, an Uncommon Dialogue by Neil Donald Walsh. This is book 1. I've seen these books before. I believe it's a series situation. This also is not my book, but it always interests me because it says, suppose you could ask God the most puzzling questions about existence, questions about love and faith, life and death, good and evil. I'm assuming that those questions are answered in this book. I hope I get around to it one day. Next, I have The Narcissist in Your Life by Julie L. Hall, recognizing the patterns and learning to break free. This book is interesting because it really does give you a lot of information about narcissists. However, if you are not in the right frame of mind, it'll just piss you off. That's what happened to me, y'all. I read the book, I was making myself mad, but honestly, if there is a narcissist in your life that you just can't get away from, this will give you the tools to be able to navigate that and deal with that, because honestly, this is an issue that a lot of people have to learn to navigate and go through. So it's a good read if you have the patience and the wherewithal to not get mad while you read it. Next, I have Life-Changing Foods by Anthony William, the medical medium. He's real big on Instagram. I haven't read this book, but I like having it on my shelf because I actually just finished drinking some celery juice. All his information and his beliefs and notes and thoughts on celery juice, I 100% agree with. I love it. If you want your skin to glow, if you want your digestive system to be on point, if you have allergies, just read about celery juice, medical medium, okay? Next, I have Good Morning, I Love You by Shauna Shapiro. Mindfulness, self-compassion, and practices to rewire your brain for calm, clarity, and joy. This is one of those books that I just purchased randomly, and like you can tell, like it has never been opened or touched, but I feel like it'll come to me when I need it. The way that I read is that I'll literally see a book on the shelf and I'll be like, it's calling to me. It wants to be read. And then that is basically how I go about choosing how I read my books. Next, I have Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race by Rennie Edo Lodge. Again, a book that has, I don't think, ever once been cracked open because I kind of bought this in a rage. Like, yeah, I'm going to read this and I'm going to educate people. I don't care to do that anymore. But this is probably great for someone, a white person, to read. And last on the shelf for my color-coordinated bookshelf is Message to the People by Marcus Garvey. This book is full of gems. This man was smart as hell. So I really like this book. I've written down the things that he said in notebooks just so I can make sure I have it in there. Honestly, read it. All right, now I'm going to get into this little lower bookshelf behind me that definitely isn't as organized as this one. This is kind of my holding space for like new books I've purchased, books that I've taken off the bigger shelf and read and then don't have room to put back. So I just kind of throw them in there randomly. But let's get into this one. So to start, I have A Raisin in the Sun by Lorraine Hansberry. I really enjoy watching plays, so I wanted to read one. I haven't read it yet, but I feel like this is a great little like on the go if you just want something to read type of book. Next, I have We Want Our Bodies Back. This is a book of poems by Jessica Care Moore. I loved these poems. I really resonated with them, and I highly recommend this book to anybody who enjoys poetry, or just anybody. Next, I have Black Imagination, curated by Natasha Marin. I love this book. She basically compiled a bunch of stories, put them in this book, and it starts off saying, close your eyes, make the white gaze disappear. So Black people from all across the country basically answered the question of what would your world look like without the white gaze? And the answers are phenomenal. Next, I have The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. I've been going through a little Neil Gaiman phase. There's definitely going to be more in this pile next to me. So I haven't read this one yet, but I'm really liking his books. They're just great little fun reads, adult fantasy, if you're into that. So I'm excited to read this one, and I like how little it is, and how bite-sized it is, and how pocket-sized it is. That's what I was trying to say. Next up, I have Tar Baby by Toni Morrison. I actually just purchased this book, and this will be one of the last Toni Morrison books that I haven't read. So I feel like I'm gonna hold on to this one because I just finished Love, and that one was good, not her best. So I'm excited to kind of end things with Tar Baby. Next, I have The Stationery Shop by Marjan Kamali. I just finished reading this. I recently went to New York and I read this on the way there and then on the way back. I was crying like a baby in the airport, like shamelessly. It's a love story. It's a star-crossed lovers love story. It's set in Iran. It's a really good book. I'm usually not one for romance, but this one, it tugged at my heartstrings, y'all. Next, I have The Afro Minimalist Guide to Living with Less by Christine Platt. This has been on my list forever and ever and ever, and y'all will hear it here first. We are going to be reading this for Shawty's book club, okay? So Shawtyreads.com, it's always linked down below. You can purchase your book. This is gonna be next. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I keep saying it, follow me at Shawtyreads. I do a book club. We meet via Instagram Live. All the information is on Instagram. But yes, this is what we're going to be reading next for Shawty's book club. And I'm so excited because I love Marie Kondo's book. But the reviews on this, I feel like they're saying, yeah, it's Marie Kondo, but it's not. Okay, so the next several books are going to be a lot of Toni Morrison, okay? Because I love her. I basically collect her books. This is an Old Jazz by Toni Morrison that I picked up at the flea market. I love jazz. It's a great book. Next, see, I'm gonna just keep going with these. I have Song of Solomon, older copy by Toni Morrison. Love, love, love Song of Solomon. It's up there with my favorites for sure. Like Song of Solomon is just a really fun read. Then I have Sula. I sell her on my bookstore, on my online bookstore, Shawtyreads.com, by Black. I love Sula. I love this copy. Like, I love all the older versions of Toni Morrison's books because the updated ones, okay, look, the updated one, it's just not the same, you know? So I have two Sulas. This is my Song of Solomon, my updated Song of Solomon, and that's actually it for Toni. So those are all my Toni Morrison books, I think, at least that are on this shelf. I think there's more up there. Next, I have more Neil Gaiman. So I read Neverwhere, which is a dark classic of modern fantasy. This is basically about like the underground people of London. There's basically this whole community that lives in the underground, like in the sewers. It was a little scary for me to read, It's very dark, but it was good. It's not my normal type of book, not my normal choice, but it like took me out of my comfort zone and I still really, really enjoyed it. Then I have Stardust by Neil Gaiman. So this is what got me started. I read Stardust first, and this one is just really fun. He goes into the land of fairy to find this star, but the star isn't what he expects it to be. And it's just really, really fun. If you read any of Cassandra Clare's books about, you know, like the City of Bones, City of Ashes, all that, then you will like this book for sure. Very similar, but honestly, his writing is way better. And if he did a series, sorry, y'all, Cassie would know what to do. Y'all lied. We have one more Toni Morrison. I have Paradise by Toni Morrison. I love this copy. I don't actually have like the updated version of this because I'm like, why do I need it? This one is amazing. My grandma gave this to me. I don't know. She finds the coolest stuff. I don't know where she found this or got this from, but I appreciate her so much for giving it to me. Next, we have More Than Enough by Elaine Welter. This was the most recent Shawty's book club pick that we already discussed on IG Live, and it's just such a great book. If you're like starting off your career, this is definitely going to inspire you to go out there and just get that shit. You know what I mean? If you're in the middle of your career, it's going to help you make decisions. Like, she just really captures everything you need, I feel, to feel inspired at any point in your career path. All right, we are now on the last and final shelf of my little itty bitty bookshelf, you guys. So let's get into it. I'm feeling real emotional. This bookshelf tour, it's taken me a while to get it done. So now I don't want it to end. Okay, so I have The Margot Affair by Sine Lemoine. You guys, I've talked about this book like plenty of times on my channel. It definitely wasn't my favorite. It made me hungry. The food sounded really good the way she wrote it. Other than that, I'm surprised I finished it. Next, I have Red Island House by Andrea Lee. It's such a beautiful book. This is a DNF. I learned what DNF meant the other day. I'm catching up with the Bookstagram lingo and stuff. Yeah, this is a did not finish, will never finish, do not finish. It was just so boring. I don't like saying bad things about books, but ooh, this one was not for me. Next, I have Twisted, The Tangled History of Black Hair Culture by Emma DeBerry. This has been a Shawty's Book Club pick, which means it's on my website. Great book. Everyone should read it. You really learn so much about history. It's more of a history book than anything. She draws you in with different topics, and then she's like, bam, it's a history lesson. Next, I have We Should All Be Feminists by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. She is no stranger to the bookshelf. I love this book. This was also a TED Talk, I believe. She did a talk on it. I'm just not sure if it was a TED Talk per se. I'm pretty sure it was. So this is just the written version of the essay that she wrote, that she performed, that she spoke. Next, I have The Measure of Our Lives, A Gathering of Wisdom by Toni Morrison. So this book is just basically a compilation of all of her quotes from books. It's really nice to open from time to time and just get like a little nugget of wisdom. Now they will rest before shouldering the endless work they were created to do down here in paradise. And that is from Paradise. Next, I have The Spirit of Intimacy, Ancient African Teachings and the Ways of Relationships by Sobonfu Somé. I absolutely loved this book. Like, I have so many notes. There's so many dog-eared pages. Sorry. It's just so good. Everyone should read it. I read it on Instagram Live for the first time, actually just read the whole book out loud over like, I don't know, a 2-week time span. And it was really, really fun. I'm noticing that Clarissa Pinkola Estes, author of Women Who Run with the Wolves, which is actually next in my stack, left a really good review on the back of the book, which is probably why I read it, because anything, about spirituality, being in tune with nature, being a wild woman, that's my thing. Like I said, next is Women Who Run with the Wolves, Myths and Stories of the Wild Woman Archetype by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. I haven't finished this book. This is one of those books where I feel like I'm just going to read it like for years and then start over once I'm done. I think I'm halfway through. Yeah, I'm on page 273. But she basically gives you fairy tales, myths, folk tales, and breaks them down to explain the wild woman archetype, the things that we need, the things that we thrive on, the things that we don't. It's about following your intuition, trusting yourself. Like, it's one of the best books I've ever read, for sure. Next, I have The Four Agreements and The Fifth Agreement by Don Miguel Ruiz. The Fifth Agreement, his son hops on, Don Jose Ruiz. These books are great. If you follow the steps in these books, your life will be a whole lot easier, okay? It's a journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So these two books I feel like everyone should have on their shelf if they're into self-help, spiritual growth, all of that. Next, I have The Death of Vivek Oji by Akwake Emezi. Again, I hope I'm saying their name right. This book is fantastic, and it will make you contemplate life for at least a week. It's such a great book. Next, I have Against the Loveless World by Susan Abuhala. This is by far one of my favorite books of 2021. I read it in a book club that I'm no longer in, but that is how this book came to me, and I love it. I love the story. I love the main character. She's just so spunky and fiery and sassy. I think she's an Aries. But in all seriousness, it's a great book. Next, I have Black is the Body, Stories from My Grandmother's Time, My Mother's Time, and Mine by Emily Bernard. I have a full review on this book because it was a Shawty's book club pick. I have a blog post on it, so all of that info is there for you, but we did enjoy this a lot in book club. Next, I have Mornings in Jenin. We have Susan Abuhala again. I bought this book because I loved Against the Loveless World so much. I haven't read this yet. Honestly, when I saw it, I forgot that I bought it, and I was like, oh, good shit. I have it. Now I don't have to worry about getting it anymore, so I can't wait to read this one. Next, I have The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. I have done a Shawty Speaks episode on this book. We read it on Instagram Live together. I feel like the general consensus was that this is by far his most underrated book. The Four Agreements is great. The Fifth Agreement is great. But The Mastery of Love really dives into what love means, what it looks like, what it's supposed to feel like, what unconditional love is versus conditional love. So this one, I would highly, highly recommend reading this before you even read The Four Agreements, but that's just me. Next, I have The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Yourself by Michael A. Singer. I know this book is super popular. I haven't read it yet. I bought it and then I left it in the car and it fell apart. So don't leave your books in the sun or in the heat. But I am excited to get to it. A really, really good friend of mine was like, this is my book that I recommend to everyone. Like, it'll change your life. You know, everyone has that book, right? Mine is The Power of Now, I think, or All About Love. But I will get into this, and I know it's gonna be life changing. I just feel like I need to be ready for it, which is important when you're reading these spiritual growth books. Next, I have Pieces Every Step by Tiknot Han, The Path of Mindfulness in Everyday Life. This is a great book. If you really need a guide to mindfulness, meditation, how to do that, because meditation isn't always sitting, crisscross legs, perfect upright position, not moving at all. Like, you can walk mindfully, you can drive mindfully, you can do everything mindfully. So this is the book for you if you feel like you're needing some help or some guidance with that. Next, I have You Are Here by Tiknot Han. I sell this on my bookstore. This was one of the first books in my featured collection that I started selling because this book changed my life. All of his books are great, but You Are Here honestly will change the way you think about the present moment forever. So that's why I love this one. Next, I have The Book of Secrets, Unlocking the Hidden Dimensions of Your Life by Deepak Chopra. This was a Shawty's book club pick, so it is also on my website, and it is transformative to say the least. I have a full video up on my YouTube channel already if you guys want to dive into that. Next, I have All About Love by Bell Hooks. I for sure have talked about this book a bunch of times on my channel. Everyone should read this book. It's available on Shawtyreads.com. Like I said, like, I don't know, 2-3 minutes ago, a book that I think everyone should read would be this and also The Power of Now, but All About Love. This will challenge the way you think about love, the way you perceive love, and it gets real controversial, so it's a must read. Next, I have Salvage the Bones by Jesmyn Ward. Have a full video up on my channel because this was a Shawty's book club pick. Y'all really choose the best books for book club. Like, this is a voting system. I choose the books that are voted for, but yeah, I don't have a say in the Shawty's book club pick, so y'all are doing an amazing job. Next, I have Sing Unburied Sing by Jesmyn Ward. Full video up on my channel because I really, really, really enjoyed this book. Next, I have Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I have a full review up on my channel of this book as well. I did enjoy it. It was just a little too creepy, a little too scary. People in the house is creaking, I don't do that, but it was a good book. So the last books on my bookshelf that are usually put out on display right back here are How to Love and How to Connect by Tiknot Han. These are great little pocket books to have if you just want, a little note of inspiration, of goodwill, of happiness, good fortune. You know what I'm saying? So, and they also look great on your bookshelf. They're just super cute. So these are the last books on the bookshelf. This is it. Per usual, every book that I mentioned will be linked in the description box so you guys can go through the whole list. I have them labeled as Bookshelf Tour Part 1, Part 2. These will be under Part 3, so go ahead and explore and have fun in those lists. Okay, again, thank you guys so much for watching. I will be back with another video very soon. We're gonna be doing a book review. I've had to talk about so many books like back to back to back with these bookshelf tour series that it'll be nice to just sit and review maybe one book, maybe two. We'll see how I'm feeling. If you have not subscribed, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on these future videos. Make sure you like, comment. Y'all know the drill. Drink your sea moss, drink your celery juice, go outside today, look at the moon, do something, okay?